800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. Unfortunately, we don't have a list. They did not provide us a list. I actually looked at the report. It was 21 pages long. A lot of math in there, a lot of formulas. They're essentially letting you know why in this report. And it's very simple. These banks hold a significant amount of their assets in interest rate sensitive financial instruments. We talked about it. They're forced to. And they bought all of these things. You heard Joey talk about, hey, at Northwestern Mutual, they don't get tied up very long. They don't like going 10, 5, 7, 10, 30 years because it leaves you vulnerable to this stuff. All of these banks, that's what they do. They're buying 10-year, they're buying 30-year. They've been locked into these zero rates now for how long? They're sitting on these. Jason, it's really not even complicated, right? They took your deposits, whatever they didn't loan out. They bought these securities. They invested it into treasuries or commercial-backed real estate or mortgage-backed, some form of mortgage-backed securities at these ultra low rates and lock those ultra low rates in for years. In a lot of cases, a decade plus. And now the simple matter is if there's any sort of run on deposits, they're got to sell those securities. And Jason, they're underwater on them. So quite simply put, once they get marked to market, all of these 186 banks are essentially insolvent.
In fact, the banks that may be doing a lot better are the ones that probably bought a lot or heavier in the years where Janet Yellen had risen the rates late 2015 to 2018. If they were buying then, they may be a little better off than the banks that were buying before and after.
They didn't buy a lot of 10-year or 30 years or what have you, but those were few and far between. That's really a great observation. And then in this UBS buyout of Credit Suisse, there is a thing called, and again, you learn something new every day, don't you? Apparently in Europe, and I know we did it here as well, they have these AT1 bonds. They were created after the last financial crisis. And these bondholders, right, they were supposed to be what they called a shock absorber. Hey, if the bank starts having some problems, these bondholders will provide it with liquidity, right? And in the case of Credit Suisse, $17 billion worth of these AT1 bonds that they created after the last financial crisis got all wiped out over the weekend. They basically took it all away from them. All of those bondholders lost every single dollar. And Jason, that's not how it was supposed to work, right? Hey, Credit Suisse, hey, we need $5 billion. Okay, we'll give them $5 billion. We still got $12 billion that we should get back. Nope. We just took it all away from people. And this is the problem. This doesn't give confidence when you sit there and say, here's the rules. These are the rules that everyone's going to play by. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the game doesn't go the way they want, Jason, they change the rules.
Yeah. And most people have no idea what's actually happening on any level. People that listen to this show know a lot more and are trying to scratch their heads and figure it out. And by the time you think you figured it out, they'll just change the way it's run. And it's really, this is why it's such a corrupt system. It's why you should not have a private company running your monetary system in your whatever country you're living in. Us being in America, you shouldn't have a private organization or setting interest rates and printing the money. It's going. There's just too much moral hazard, right, Joe? It's just going to happen. Someone's going to cheat, and they've been cheating for 100 years. I think more and more as the years go on.
Yeah, and just looking here, UBS credit default swaps now have hit an 11-year high. So this is going back, 2012, back when we were still dealing with the financial crisis. not a good start to Monday with this. Now, the Dow's up 300 points. We'll see where it finishes. But really, when you're looking at this, Jason, once again, it just feels a lot like last week where, hey, we've taken a lot of action, but we didn't take enough action. And I think this continues. I think we're going to be talking about this all week long. And really, we're going to go to Wednesday. I think Wednesday, this is my guess. If somehow tomorrow and early Wednesday, the markets are calm and people are I guess, not panicking, we could see Jay Powell raise rates. We could. I think I want him to because I think it's going to be a huge mistake. But that's wrong. I shouldn't say that. But that's just how I feel about it, right? These banks are in trouble, and the more you raise rates, the bigger the problems are going to be. But I also believe, listen, if panic ensues, it's early. If all of a sudden Wall Street sells off like the last hour today and has a bad day tomorrow, Jason, I could see him not raising rates at all.
Yeah, I think the Fed wants to put stress on these banks. I think that's where I'm at this point. I think they want the banks to have trouble because I think they're trying to force the bank into their new system. Because these banks, Joe, they can just they don't really have a brain of their own. They do what the system tells them to. But there's this competition out there. This Bitcoin or this digital currency that's going on, and they're getting ready to put the Fed coin in. And all these countries across the world, the central banks are all going to put their digital currency in. And they beta tested this in places like Zimbabwe. One of the African countries was a big tester of it. And they put Bitcoin versus the digital currency of the government. And Bitcoin was thrashing it. So I think, Joe, that they're putting something into place. And I think, hey, if these banks are having stress, then when we tell them they can buy this and they can't buy that, they're going to have a lot of leverage because then they're going to pick the winners and losers like they always do, Joe. I think really a lot of this has to do with what we're going to be seeing, which is slowly bringing in digital currency.
Yeah, and I don't know, slowly, we've been slowly bringing it in now for years, right? It started with the Fed denying that they were doing it. Then it was, well, maybe, we're looking at it. We wrote a white paper on it. And maybe we brought some tech geeks in and had some meetings with them. And we gave our buddies over at MIT a call. And all of a sudden, fast forward to like the last 90 days, what are they saying? Oh, we've got to have it. Oh, you got to, right? Oh, yeah, have to. No. You know how it goes, right? It's all gradual at first, and then suddenly, there it is. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be right back after the break. $800-951-0592. I'm going to read you a note from one of the largest gold wholesalers in the world. Here's the quantities that we have. Call ASAP to order because everything is selling so quickly. We may not have the products available when you call. And so this is kind of one of these things. So today, right now, gold's up 3. And I know what you're saying. Wait a minute, double. Kitco says it's down $17. Well, Friday afternoon, gold rallied after hours. This morning, and actually, it was probably late last night. Well, most of us were asleep. Gold hit $2,011 right now at $1,976 right now on gold. And all-time gold highs are right around the corner. Depending on what Jay Powell does on Wednesday, we could see those this week. I've got a really good special. It really is. It's going to be that we just don't have a lot of them. I've got $110 Liberty. So this is the half ounce. The $20 Liberties, these are the half ounce. The older ones, you know why we like the older ones? They're the most private way to own gold. You can buy it, you can sell it, you can trade it. There's no 1099s. I don't have to have you fill out a little report for the IRS and get Social Security numbers or anything like that. 2 10s for less than a 20. So I've got $10 Liberty. I got 100 of them at $1,170. If you bought 2 of them, that would be $2,340. Right now, $20 gold pieces, Jason, are $2,375. So you get a fractional piece, the $10 pieces. You get 2 of those. You're going to pay $35 less than a 20. It's been a while, right? And we know fractional gold. When you get to the quarter ounce, forget about it. You're not going to get $4 or $5 pieces less than 20. That's just never going to happen. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. I took them off. We'll have them back in about 3 to 5 days. Jason, they're at $270 now. That's $2,700 for the ounce. Here you get 2 $10 Liberties, $2,340. That's $1,170 a piece. I've only got 100. That is it. I don't have 101. I don't have 110. We've got 100 of them at 800-951-0592. Take the time. Keep stacking it, because I'm going to tell you right now how much your portfolio weighs is really going to matter down the road, Jason.
Yeah, you should be buying gold and silver right now. You could always say, "Oh, I wish I bought in 2001, or I wish I bought it in 2008, or I wish I bought it in 2015 when it came down." And all that doesn't really matter, because if you look at it over along the timeline, as long as there's inflation, and that's the way the Fed runs, inflation is how they enrich themselves and their buddies, there's always going to be a higher price of gold because the dollars are becoming worthless. Gold doesn't really go up. It's not that gold is more valuable. You can still buy a cow with an ounce of gold. That's not changing. What's changing is the monetary system is there to steal from you. And if you want to stay in dollars, they're going to steal from you. So buying $10 Liberty today, this is a great way if you've never bought it to get in. And if you're somebody that's been in for a while and you're one of those guys trying to play the best price before it takes off, well, it's starting to take off. It's starting to take off. And by the end of this year, and especially the end of next year, these next couple of years, it's really, really going to take off, Joe. It's just gonna go like a rocket ship, because the inflation, I don't know where it's going to slow down, but it's going to be here for a while.
It's a terrible thing. I can't tell you how many phone calls just this morning alone. And people want, is my bank in trouble? Tell me about this bank. Is this bank on the list? And and again, this is what we know. And I've said it over and over and over again. We have a weak president. We have a weak head of the Federal Reserve, and we're seeing it play out right now. We're not even in a bad time. I mean, heck, the unemployment rate's like 3.6%. We just had a jobs report of 300,000 jobs, and we're talking about bank runs. We're talking about bank runs, and they can't stop it.
Joe, I can answer that question. I can answer the question, is your bank on the list? The answer is yes, because all these banks are just linked together. Your bank is on the list. That's the easiest question to answer. Now, maybe, my bank is in a better spot. Really? Okay, great. What is that going to buy you 12 months? All right. You don't know how long it's going to last, right, Joe?
And then how about Janet Yellen last week? Oh, well, we're not insuring all the deposits. No, just the important ones. Right? Just the important ones. Your bank and your community bank, where we are, we're probably not doing that, right? But just the important, where the rich people have their money. And then, of course, the right too big to fail. But it really is. If you're brand new, listen, here's the simplest thing. We want you to actually buy the specials. We don't run specials for the bait and switch. Have you call in and then tell you why you don't want it. No, just tell the girls, I want the special. That's all you have to say. And they're really tough question we're going to ask you. How many would you like? 1, 5, 10. When you order, we give you a trade number. We have locations in Colorado and Arizona. If you want to pick up, you don't have to pay any shipping cost. If you're somewhere where it's just too far, just ship it to me. We ship FedEx. It's a flat $35. You can pay by check. Credit card, we add 2%. Okay, so credit card, we take all four: Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. You can send us a bank wire certified check. The only thing you can't do third-party checks or anything like that anymore. But basically, all the payment methods are available to you. 800-951-0592. $10 Liberties, 2 10s, less than a 20, $35 less than a 20 today. We'll be right back. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. These are not going to last. All lines are lit up here. If you're getting the voicemail, hang up, call back. We'll get you in the order that we called. The special, again, we had $110 Liberties at $1,170, which puts 2 10s at $35 below a 20 today. Just a great opportunity to continue to add here. And Jason, we continue to watch. Gold's now up 5. I actually think gold's going to have a halfway decent day. I think it's going to close pretty strongly here today. We'll see how that goes. Right now, the Dow is up 300 points. The Credit Suisse, UBS, the merger, if you will, on the outset, this is kind of putting lipstick on the pig here. Hey, this is good. This is going to shore it up. Oh, by the way, don't pay any attention to the credit default swaps. Pay no attention to what we actually think about the deal. First Republic received another downgrade further into junk today. And I think this is another mistake. They should have found a buyer for First Republic. They shouldn't even be here today. That's just my opinion. This leads to more chaos, Jason, and leads to more people being nervous. And again, this is what happened when you got weak people that are afraid to make bold moves in charge.
Well, we're gonna listen to it next hour, but I really believe that they're doing this stuff on purpose. I think there's a plan, Joe. And I think that this is going to just like
of course they did. They left interest rates at 0 for 15 years. That was on purpose.
Right. Well, in 2020 there was an emergency and people overreacted. Well, I think the banks are in serious trouble, but I think they're going to handle it in a very specific way. And I think they want people to be afraid of what's going on, because once the people are afraid, people weren't afraid of banks going under a month ago versus now. Now they're saying, they're calling you, Joe, and say, "Well, is my bank with one of the next ones?" They weren't saying that a month ago. People that don't want to listen to the show, but now they're thinking about it, aren't they? And they're going to keep this in the news cycle.
I haven't got a call about, is my bank going under, since 2008.
Right, but not as much as now.
Now in the last 2 weeks, I get that call every day, every single day. And again, remember, they allegedly fixed it. We just remember they had, too big to fail. That's over now. We'll just wind them down. Well, look at Credit Suisse. Did they get wound down? No, they couldn't wind them down, right? Because they're going to take down those. Heck, we couldn't even let Silicon Valley Bank go under $170 billion of deposits. Oh my God, it's so bad. $170 billion in deposits. Give me a break, Jason. This thing is built on a house of cards. It just is.
This last minute, Joe, I just want to remind the audience that if you're someone driving around listening to this show, when you get home, there's nothing wrong with going to YouTube and clicking on Patriot Radio News Hour. I just want to throw it out there. I've been working on. Joe and I, we're working at Dominic, and Jack's going to be a part of this, working on building up the YouTube channel. Go there, go to Patriot Radio News Hour, click on the subscribe, click the thumbs up, watch some of these videos. We're going to try to make it bigger and better as time goes on. But the more that you become a subscriber, tell your friends to subscribe, the more views that you put there, it's going to help grow this thing. So go subscribe, go do the thumbs up. Joe and I are slow to technology, but I'm gonna push us, Joe. We're gonna get there a lot faster than we've been doing.
Let me tell you right now, slow is probably an understatement. So Jason putting himself out there. Listen, I was ahead of Jason, just so you know, in technology. But hey, he's gonna put it into the high lane. We're gonna be driving about 55 in the fast lane, so we'll probably cause all kinds of accidents. God bless everybody. Listen, we got a great half-empty cup. Stick with us.